welcome to ThePrint. I am Amana Begam Ansari. The scenes that unfolded at TCS Nashik sound like a scene from a Bollywood crime drama or a film on corporate misconduct. But unfortunately, it is the headline in India right now. At the TCS office, 9 FIRs have been filed, 8 by women employee, alleging sexual harassment and inappropriate religion linked remarks, and one by a male employee, citing that the religious sentiments have been hurt. 7 people have been arrested, with one allegedly the key conspirator still absconding at the time of writing the article. Later, some new information came to the light that she was not HR manager as it was claimed, but some associate in the same company. As with many such cases, the facts are still emerging, but what has already become evident is how quickly the conversation has moved beyond the specific of the allegations. The fact that accused reportedly belong to the same community has turned this into a flashpoint instead of remaining focused on the claims, evidence, and accountability of individuals. The narrative in some spaces has expanded into something much broader, framing it as a pattern or even as a communal issue. On social media, this has translated into sweeping generalizations and warnings, urging Hindu women to be cautious of Muslim men as a category. It's been alleged that Muslim men as a group are targeting Hindu women, with suggestions of exploitation and forced conversion becoming central of the narrative. There are, of course, competing narratives emerging as well. Some accounts call the entire episode a case of relationship gone wrong, suggesting a very different context to the allegations. Others, including voices like Arfa Khanam Sherwani, have framed the coverage itself as a part of pattern that risks stigmatizing educated Muslims and making them more vulnerable in professional space. The truth will emerge sooner or later, but what stands out to me is something else. Why is the instinct within the community so often become immediately defensive? If those accused are seen as one of us, why does that not also create a sense of responsibility to question, to reflect, to understand what has actually happened? Instead of stepping back with a curiosity and reaction, the reaction often moves quickly toward dismissing such incident as conspiracies against the community. Why can we not choose another way to respond? One that does not begin with defensiveness, but with honesty and responsibility. One that allows us to stand with those who may have been wronged. When we think of cases like Kathua rape case or Bilkis Bano, don't we expect that people should stand for justice regardless of identity? Haven't we felt unease in seeing support by some groups being extended to the criminals with rallies, flag, and garlanding them? I understand the instinct to feel defensive. As a minority, that reaction comes almost naturally, especially in a case like this, which is still not proven. But it is important to be clear here. Holding individual accountable is not the same as assigning collective guilt to an entire community. No group is defined by the action of a few. And it's not like there aren't issues within our own community that we need to address. In many societies, including our own, there are still deeply rooted ideas about gender. There is a mindset of male superiority, control over women that continues to exist, no matter how carefully or nicely we try to frame it otherwise. There are videos by unqualified Maulvis giving sermons where women are reduced to roles defined entirely in relation to men, like their existence is to only serve men on this planet Earth and without any credible sources. And it passes without much challenge from the community. Over time, we have also tried to define what modesty should look like for women instead of leaving it as a personal choice. And people who already live with a mindset of a tribal misogyny easily combine it with such an idea and suggest that Women who do not follow Islamic modesty standards are less deserving of respect. And for some sick minded individuals, this can lead to a double standard where non Muslim women can be seen as fair game or for temporary relationship rather than serious commitment. The response from Islamic scholars often follows a familiar line that such behaviors are rooted in misinterpretation of the Quran, patriarchal cultural norm, or individual criminal intent rather than the religion itself. Fair enough, I agree with that, but it makes you think again. Why does this argument appear mostly as a defense and rarely as the way to question what is actually being practiced in the name of Islam? How often do these clarification translate into visible, consistent effort to challenge harmful practices within everyday life? If the distinction between values and practice is clear, then bridging that gap becomes a shared responsibility. I get it, none of this is easy. For minority community in particular, there is often an added pressure, the fear that any internal criticism will be used to stigmatize the group as a whole. That fear is real and not without reason. But perhaps that is where the balance lies. As a community, we cannot look away because there are other battles to fight. Empowering the community from within involves having difficult conversation within, and because if we expect fairness and justice from others, it cannot be conditional when it comes to us. It has to begin within. As a community, we need to have the willingness to question, to correct, and to hold ourselves to the same standard we ask of the world. Otherwise, we risk repeating the same cycle where truth becomes secondary and identity takes its place.